Welcome to Half 2-4. Today in the episode, the end of a great era on Albion. Guardiola is leaving, and Enzo Maresca gets a half-empty dressing room. Manchester City is losing key players who are following Pep. Carlo Ancelotti returns Neymar to the World Cup 2026, but throws overboard the superstar of London, Chelsea. Also today, Antonio Conte is ready to pull off an epic comeback to Juventus, and also pillows, mattresses, and earplugs, how Thomas Tuchel is going to finally win the World Cup for England. His methods are simply amazing. We are talking about all this and much more right now. The football world has officially shaken what had been discussed in whispers for months, became a reinforced concrete fact. The end of a great era has come, which has forever changed English and world football. Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City. The news agency Daily Mail and the main transfer guru of the planet, Fabrizio Romano, unanimously confirmed the Catalan genius has already informed the club management about his departure. His last dance on the Bridge of the Citizens will be the Sunday match of the final round of the Premier League against Aston Villa. Let's just ponder over these historical numbers that take your breath away. In 10 incredible seasons at the Etihad, the 55-year-old specialist won 20 trophies with the team, turning the club into an absolute hegemon. He gave Manchester 6 England champion titles and the first in the history of the club long-awaited victory in the Champions League. Now, full mobilization is taking place behind the scenes. The bosses of City have already started informing key sponsors about the future grand announcement. Although for the closest circle of Pep, this has long been an open secret, the official announcement is planned precisely for Sunday, right before the solemn parade on an open bus on Monday. This parade will turn into a large-scale farewell of the nation with the man who overturned the idea of the game on Albion. And now the most important thing, who will replace the king? No casting or long searches. Fabrizio Romano clearly noted the management had only one candidate for replacement. Enzo Maresca becomes the new head coach of Manchester City. As we reported with you earlier, the Italian has already reached a principled boardroom agreement with the club bosses. His contract is fully agreed until the year 2028, with an official option of automatic extension for one more season until 2029. The club is handed over to the hands of a specialist who knows the system perfectly and is ready to hold the bar. Friends, we have become witnesses to the end of, perhaps, the greatest managerial stage in the history of the modern EPL. By the way, on May 19th, exactly 13 years ago, his last match in the Premier League was played also by the brilliant Fergie, but that is a slightly different story. So, thank you for everything, Pep. It was pure art. Your era was unique, but now Time X comes for the club. Enzo Maresca gets a fantastic team, but at the same time, colossal, almost unbearable pressure, as he will be constantly compared with the shadow of Guardiola. We already know that many players inform the club that they will also leave City after the departure of Pep, and therefore Maresca will have to put out the fire and build his brand from the first second. And what do you think, friends? Will Maresca be able to repeat at least half of the success of the great Catalan? Or does an inevitable decline await City? The statement of Pep Guardiola about the departure at the end of the season instantly launched not just a reboot, but a real panic evacuation from Manchester City. Leading European media and the most authoritative insiders confirm in one voice, the era of dominance of the citizens is collapsing before our eyes. And the stars of the team have arranged fierce races for the exit behind the scenes. While Enzo Maresca is only preparing to take the helm, the boardroom shortlist of club losses already looks like a catastrophe. Who is leaving Manchester absolutely permanently? And whose transfer sabotage is blowing up the market right now? Let's break it down. Let's start with those who have already officially closed their contracts with tears in their eyes and farewell videos on social networks. The first line of defense and midfield of City undergoes radical changes. Bernardo Silva officially leaves England as a free agent. The Portuguese honestly told Pep about his departure a year ago. Guardiola even tried to keep him with a captain's armband, but Bernardo refused. 9 years, 451 matches, 19 trophies, and now, most likely, he will transfer to Barca. Succeeded him is the legendary John Stones, who arrived at the club as the second signing of Pep in the year 2016. He also received the status of a free agent, recorded an emotional video saying that City surpassed his every dream, and left. Manuel Akanji, who played on loan for Milanese Inter, will not return anymore. The Italians are officially buying him out for 15 million euros. Nathan Ake is at the final stage of legal processing of a transfer to another European giant. That is, Maresca has not conducted a single training session yet, and the club lost Stones, Akanji, and Ake in one summer. But this is only a warm-up, because the main transfer bomb exploded around Joao Pedro. The freshest inside from the authoritative Spanish publication Diario AS confirms the Croatian super defender, who was bought at the time for a crazy 90 million euros, categorically refused to play under the leadership of Maresca and is completely open to leaving England. His agents have already deployed a large-scale boardroom operation, and Joao himself clearly chose his most desired priority, a transfer to the Santiago Bernabeu under the wing of Jose Mourinho. The Special One personally demands from the management of Real to take the Croat to Madrid for a capital repair of their own defense. And right here, a third force instantly enters the game, which turns this transfer into a real war of billionaires. According to exclusive information from the authoritative German publication Bild, Munich Bayern has officially made the first serious inquiries regarding the transfer of Joao Pedro, trying to insolently take advantage of the managerial chaos in Manchester. However, the bosses of Manchester City are in a strong position. The contract of the Croat is extended up to the year 2028. The management of the Citizens has already put forward a tough financial ultimatum. Any potential buyer, whether Madrid or Munich, is obliged to lay out on the table at least the same 90 million euros that were paid for him. The bidding is officially declared open. Transfer agents are already polishing the floors, and the final price of the issue will be simply astronomical. And finally, the worst nightmare of the fans. Negotiations about a new contract with the midfield leader Rodri continue. The Spaniard directly stated that he will not be able to refuse an offer from Real. Losing Bernardo, Stones, Joao, Gvardiol, and Rodri in one summer. This is not a transition period. This is very serious. The only good news in this apocalypse, Phil Foden signs a new monumental agreement until the year 2030. The guy whom half of the fans were ready to write off after a difficult season remains to save the team. You know what is most interesting to me in all this? Enzo Maresca is not even officially presented yet. There was no press conference, and he is already left with a half-empty club. Yes, Erling Haaland is in place. Foden remains. But in place of the spine of the team, where Bernardo Silva and Rodri used to rule, now there could be a huge black hole. We see a classic domino effect. When an architect of the system like Guardiola leaves, discipline collapses in a second, and the stars begin to think exclusively about saving their own careers. If this is the renewal of City, then Enzo, brother, hold on, a real hell awaits you. The main managerial cabinet of the Brazil national team blew up an informational bomb of a planetary scale. Carlo Ancelotti officially announced the final squad of the Seleção for the World Cup 2026, and this decision has already split the football world in half. Despite fierce discussions, injuries, and skepticism of analysts, Neymar is going to his fourth World Cup. However, the joy of millions of fans is accompanied by a real personal drama. The leader of London, Chelsea's Joao Pedro, who had an epic season, officially remains out of the tournament. Let's go through the facts of this crazy list of Carlo. Together with Joao Pedro, Andre Santos, and veteran Thiago Silva fell under a severe cut. For the forward of the Blues, this is a crushing blow because his seasonal statistics are simply amazing. 49 matches, 20 goals, and 9 assists. Joao Pedro himself did not hide his despair and instantly addressed the fans. I tried to give my best at all times. Unfortunately, this time, it was not possible to fulfill my main dream to represent my country in a World Cup. But I remained calm and focused, as I always try to be. Joys and frustrations are an inseparable part of football. From now on, I wish good luck to everyone who is there in the team. I will be just another passionate fan cheering hard for them to bring the 6th title home. Carlo Ancelotti at a press conference in Rio de Janeiro frankly explained his choice and supported the dropped stars. I am incredibly sad for those performers who were left out of the squad, especially for Joao Pedro. They are great football players, and they will definitely have big chances in the future. But my choice regarding Neymar is 100% professional. We analyzed his condition for a whole year. In this last period at Santos, he got stable match practice and gained excellent physical shape. Neymar will be a key, fundamental player for us at this World Cup. His crazy experience in such tournaments and authority in the dressing room will create an ideal atmosphere inside the team. Now look at what a fantastic reaction reigns among the legends. Marcelo is simply wild with joy and celebrates the return of his friend Neymar to the main tournament of the 4-year period. Neymar himself, who just a few hours before the announcement of the list eloquently added the word Brazil to the header of his profile on Instagram, did not hold back emotions after the official verdict. Hold his first hot words after the official return. Only God knows what I had to go through in these recent years, how much pain, sweat, and grueling training remained behind the scenes after that cursed knee injury. Many did not believe. Many wrote me off and said that my time in the national team was over. But I never stopped dreaming about this day. To return and get a chance to wear this sacred shirt again at the World Cup is the greatest pride in my life. Thank you to Professor Ancelotti for full trust. Our group is ready, we are united as never before, and we are going for the 6th star for our nation. My opinion, Carlo Ancelotti makes a crazy, courageous move, which is completely in his style. Yes, Pedro deserved this place with his reinforced concrete stability in the EPL. But the World Cup is a short tournament of emotions, authority, and genius sparks. Neymar, in his 34 years, even ready at 70%, is capable of deciding the fate of gold medals with one pass or set piece. This is his last, final dance for the Seleção. And now the whole country will demand only victory from Carlo. And what do you think, friends? Did Ancelotti do right to trade the young star of Chelsea for the experience and magic of Neymar? £265,000 a week, 5 goals per season, 2 starting matches in the league. Arsenal decided everything Gabriel Jesus is leaving. The only question is, who will pay him such a salary? Let's start with the numbers. Arsenal is ready to sell Jesus for approximately £30 million. But his salary, $265,000 a week, became the main stumbling block for all potential buyers. Milan and Juventus want the player, but they cannot pay that much. This season, Jesus played 26 matches in all tournaments, scored 5 goals and made 2 assists in 913 minutes on the pitch. He simply does not play Victor Gyökeres, and Havertz stand in front of him in the queue. And one does not need to be an analyst to understand a person for such money and without a place in the squad is a problem for accounting. And now the most interesting nuance. In January, Jesus changed his agent, moved to the agency of Brancini, which also represents the head coach of Milan, Massimiliano Allegri. This is not a coincidence. This is a signal. If the move to Europe does not happen, a return to Brazil remains a realistic option. Jesus previously spoke openly about an emotional connection with Palmeiras. And if Serie A does not pull his salary, Sao Paulo will pull his heart. Jesus is not a failure of Arsenal. He brought identity to the club at the moment when it was needed most. But football moves forward. Arteta changed the system. Victor Gyökeres arrived. This is a natural end of a chapter, not a catastrophe, but a logical completion. The only real problem is $265,000 a week for a person who starts matches on the bench. This Arsenal should have solved a year ago. Antonio Conte returns to Juventus. Sounds like an absolute bomb and a dream for millions of tifosi? Or like a classic, well-known déjà vu? Because exactly a year ago, the press was already screaming to the whole world, the Count has decided, the contract is agreed, he is going to Turin. Then everything ended with a banal salary increase, new negotiations with Aurelio De Laurentiis, and continuation of work at Napoli. What is more, just a month ago, Luciano Moggi assured that Antonio personally promised him never to return to the club. But this time, the situation is cardinally different. The Italian football space has shaken, and the authoritative publication Repubblica claims the return of the legend is closer than ever because a real catastrophe has broken out over Turin. Let's break down the details of this epic boardroom thriller. The main trigger of the potential comeback Juventus is one step away from a shameful flight past the Champions League. After a helpless away defeat from Fiorentina in the 37th tour with a score of 2-0, the old lady flew out of the top four with a crash and found herself in 6th place in the tournament table. Ahead is the final tour and a fierce Turin derby against Torino. To Milan and Roma, which closed the Champions League zone, the gap is only 2 points. But now even a victory does not guarantee anything you need to pray for a slip of competitors. And right here, the cabinet drama begins. The current mentor, Luciano Spalletti, only in April extended his contract with the club until the summer of 2028 with a solid salary of €5 million per season. The bosses unconditionally believed in him until the exit from the Champions League from Galatasaray and this disastrous finishing series in the championship. According to insiders, Conte is ready to step on the bridge, but set a tough condition. Spalletti must vacate the chair himself. Everything will be decided already this week during an urgent and fateful meeting of Luciano with the main owner of the club, John Elkann. If the flight past the main European Cup becomes official, no agreement will save Spalletti. The club will instantly return the man institution. Let me remind you, it was Conte in the period from 2011 to 2014 as a player, captain, and head coach who returned the killer mentality to the Torinese, won 3 Scudettos in a row, and turned the Azzurri into the total hegemon of Italy. On one hand, I remain a healthy skeptic in this story. For now, all this noise looks more like classic media pressure on Spalletti before the decisive round, and the contract of Conte with Napoli and the $5 million agreement of Spalletti until the year 2028 are huge financial reinforced concrete walls. On the other hand, if Juventus really flies past the Champions League, Elkann will personally ask Spalletti to the exit. And then the arrival of Antonio will become an ideal, aggressive injection, which Turin needs like air. Conte knows how to squeeze the maximum and in a matter of months will arrange a total cleanup of the squad at the Allianz Stadium. England is preparing for the World Cup. Tactics? Yes. Squad? Almost determined. And also, special pillows, custom-made mattresses, and earplugs. Because Thomas Tuchel decided that the path to the trophy lies through quality sleep. Sounds like a joke? Well, listen further. The national team of England will be based at the World Cup 2026 at the Inn at Meadowbrook Hotel near Kansas City. And right here, the most interesting thing begins. After the first inspections, it turned out that the mattresses in the hotel are too hard, and with soundproofing, a complete disaster. Back in 2022 and 2024, guests massively complained that everything could be heard from neighboring rooms. For Tuchel, this is personal. He is known for his obsession with player recovery. Therefore, the FA did not just complain, the FA acts. Each player will receive a personal sleep kit, a mattress topper and cooling pillows, selected for the weight, build, and sleep posture of each player separately. Plus ergonomic eye masks and earplugs. A sleep specialist, Dr. Luke Gupta from the UK Sports Institute, has been involved in the work. And now attention here is the detail that killed me. Dr. Gupta also developed an individual sleep schedule for each player, taking into account late matches and heat, and he personally calmed the team. It is normal not to be able to fall asleep after a night game due to adrenaline. There is a protocol. That is, in England, there is a person whose official job is to make sure that Kane and Bellingham sleep normally. You know, it's easy to laugh here. Pillows at the World Cup is a ready-made meme. But to be honest, this is the difference between clubs and national teams that win, and those that almost. Every detail matters. Tuchel understands this. The question is one: will these pillows help when at the 89th minute the score is 1-1? We will see then. Antonio Rudiger is going nowhere. Real Madrid, contract until 2027. It would seem just a line in the newsfeed. But behind this short sentence are months of disputes, refusal of billions from Saudi Arabia, and one important lesson that sometimes the club is stronger than the desire of the player. Here is what really happened. Rudiger wanted a 2-year contract, but Real Madrid fundamentally does not give more than 1 year to players over 30, and in the end, he agreed to the terms of the club. That is, he did not dictate, the club dictated, and it is important to understand this. Since the moment of transfer from Chelsea in 2022, Rudiger became one of the most important players in the defense of the Blancos. During this time, he rejected a super profitable offer from Saudi Arabia because he believes he has something to prove at the highest level. And now attention, here is why the extension makes sense right now. David Alaba is leaving in the summer. Militao is chronically injured. Wijndal has not met expectations so far. That is, without Rudiger, the defense of Real looks, to put it mildly, fragile. Plus, Jose Mourinho loves experienced, reliable defenders. Rudiger fits this description perfectly. Honestly, I like this story. Not because Rudiger signed, but because he could have earned much more in Saudi Arabia and consciously refused. This is a rarity in modern football. Will Real ever give him 2 years? Unlikely. But for now, 1 more season at the Bernabeu. And it seems that for him, this is more important than money.
Yes.